Welcome everybody to the University of Sunshine Coast Sports Stadium as Nothing But Net Media and Stream Team Australia, Basketball Queensland, and the Australian Sports Network present to you another QBL Game of the Week featuring the University of Sunshine Coast RIP and the Cairns Dolphins. I'm John Guarna, and tonight I'm joined by former Mackay Meteors head coach Ken Furdak on the call. Ken, thank you so much for joining me. Should be an exciting matchup tonight.
Thanks for inviting me, John. Really looking forward to it. It's my first look at the QBL for season 2019. Been watching the results very closely over the past, particularly the past few months, just to see how the top four is starting to shape up. And tonight, big one for the USC RIP, losing last night, and there's still probably a slim hope of making the top 8, but it really comes down to tonight's game.
This is a very important game for the RIP. The RIP, Cairns did the RIP no favors last night, dropping a really tight one to Sunshine Coast, 74-71. Really came down to the last few minutes in that one. Really impressive, and another impressive performance from Shanice Swain. Super talented guard, heading off to the Institute for further development. She's going to be in that NBA Global Academy too, I think. So really impressive young player. She led Cairns last night with 24 points. She's super talented. It's going to be interesting to see how she faces off against the veteran RIP team.
Oh, most definitely. And Cairns are one of those sides. Every year they produce some really good talent. And as you see with Shanice, and I expect them to be very tough tonight. USC are going to have to be on their game to. The Dolphins are coming in with some confidence, so that they'll be tough tonight.
Yeah, and the RIP are sitting at 4-9. They're in that 10th spot. Cairns is just a half game behind them at 4-11. So RIP, don't know how close they are. It's really difficult to see. They're going to need a lot of help. Well, both these teams would really need a lot of help to get into the finals, but nonetheless, super important game here tonight. Just a couple quick thoughts, and if I can get a prediction off, you can. I'll put you on the spot. I didn't warn you about that ahead of time.
Yeah, good one, John. Look, I think the fact that Cairns lost a close one last night, and they've got some very good young talent. A few of these young ladies I've had the privilege of coaching back in the under-16 age group, so that was nearly 5 years ago. But they can play basketball, so a bit of my North Queensland coming out of me too. I think Cairns will cause the upset tonight.
I think it would be a bit of an upset. RIP also played last night. They lost an 84-69 decision to Townsville. Townsville really on a roll since adding Abby Bishop to the mix.
That's a tough one to add, isn't it, for Townsville?
Yeah, a bit difficult for them. I don't know. I think they were a little upset about it. But Chevy Palvas led the way for the RIP last night with 22 points, and she's going to have a big one tonight for the RIP if they're going to pick up the win. Don't forget, guys, if you are tuning in on YouTube or Facebook, let us know in the comments who you are, where you're watching from, so we could get you a shout-out. We're about to get set for the tip. Referees for the game tonight. We have crew chief Daryl Millard, and the umpire is Jeff Jarrett, of course. USC RIP head coach Jay McCracken, and Cairns led by Kerry Williams. Tips won by the RIP, and we're underway.
I think a big factor for Cairns, particularly tonight, is how they handle Palvast. I mean, she is an absolute talent, and keeping her off the boards is going to be a big factor. But a great start for the RIP.
Keisha Lee gets her own miss, follows it up with an offensive rebound. I think that's a place where Cairns really needs to do a good job tonight, is on particularly the defensive glass.
Oh, most definitely. They're not a big side by any stretch of the imagination, and they're going to look to feed it inside here, but they're really going to rely on their outside shooters like this one.
Yeah, it's Swain missing a three-point attempt. Here come the RIP. Palvast has it for USC. They're going to reset. We were here a couple weeks ago. Ken and Keisha Lee had 45, just a quiet 45, so she's looking to get hot here early. She kicked it for Tupea to shoot the three, which is out of bounds, so Lee not looking for the shot on that time, but man, she could have missed a couple weeks ago when we were up here, Ken. It was one of the better shooting performances I've seen in a long time.
That's remarkable, isn't it? 45 points in a women's game.
Not bad.
Gee.
I think she went 12 of 13 in the third. Good drive, miss there. And here come the RIP. Good look inside. Abbott misses the layup. That's a tough miss. Hurd comes down with the rebound for Cairns. Three-pointer up off the side of the rim, no good. Tompkins with the miss there. Here come Rip. They've got numbers as Swain falls in the backcourt. Then Ups lays it in.
So that's very, very poor defense from Cairns. It just, you can see that the USC Rip are just starting to find their rhythm very early. Look for an up-tempo style game tonight from them. Cairns really need to nullify that, and that's going to be a big factor for them if they want to stay in contention. That's Ali Hutchinson who knows how to shoot the ball.
That was a good-looking move for Hutchinson, getting into the paint, just a little short on the jump shot. And crowd slowly trickling in here at the University of Sunshine Coast Rip. I could hear Coach McCracken. We're at the back of the stands all the way on the other side, and I could hear Coach McCracken say, run it again.
Yep, so a simple play there, just pop screen and then look for the roll inside, and again, perfect execution. Didn't quite get the result, but going to the line to shoot too. So, Cairns haven't made that adjustment early in the piece, and Jared will just keep running that until they do.
And again, we talked a little bit about it, but Cairns they don't have much size to match up with Rip. They obviously Rip like that matchup with Abbott, the captain on the inside as she hits the first one. But as a coach, Ken, if you see something that's working, why go away from it, right?
Well, you keep going to, and that's where you rely on your point guards to make sure that they keep finding the hot person and the hot woman in this instance, and you will just keep going to it until the team makes the adjustments. But that's a good up-tempo play again from Cairns, but they'll start to get frustrated if that just doesn't come off. But they've just got to stay focused on what they want to do and not worry too much about the scoreboard. It's 6-0 at the moment, but Cairns have had some very good looks. As we said, USC, they'll look to run it again, probably change it a little bit different here. But, it looks like Cairns have made a little bit of an adjustment in this situation.
Good spin in the paint. Nice dump off, and Abbott flips up another easy one. Dribble penetration hurting Cairns. You mentioned it off the screen and roll, but that time it was Toupé getting inside off the dribble.
And that's the size mismatch that Cairns has. Sarah Hurd, good defender, but probably not the match for the USC at this stage. But that's a great move.
Great move and a great finish there from, that's Tompkins getting the first points on the board for Cairns.
And, she had a season high against Townsville and Mackay, so they're going to be looking for her to do similarly. She's running the floor again, which is fantastic to see a big person run the floor like that. And unfortunately, the pass wasn't right on the money. But, if she can run the floor, that's going to be tough for the USC Rip to get back to.
Yeah, it was unfortunate because she ran the floor really nicely, got ahead of the pack, and then turned it over, unfortunately. The pass from Swain a little too long. Tompkins was able to save it, but her return pass, a little too strong as well. So, but I think it was interesting to see Rip press off of that make also. I think that goes to them trying to speed up the game.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the sort of tempo that they like to play at. Good denial defense there from Tompkins. But, they probably don't want to get into a half-court game, Rip. They want to sort of run. They're probably, again, they had a loss last night, so both teams coming off losses, but they'll want to be on their home court, showing good looks early, and the best way to do that is to play up-tempo.
There's Palvast from the free throw line. That's too strong. Tipped out of bounds. Off of Rip, it's going to be Cairns' ball. I like Cairns, though. I like their scrappiness. We saw them earlier this season. They played again in Brisbane, and it's an interesting mix. You got a few players who have a bit of experience, but it's also quite a young group.
Yeah.
As you see there on the turnover. Another missed layup, though, for the Rip. And I think if you're Coach McCracken, you're pulling your hair out with these missed layups starting to pile up.
You can't think it's nerves. I mean, we're well and truly into the season, but, it could be. But, yeah, those sort of ones are coach killers when you see them miss easy shots that, they'd make in their sleep every other time. But as you said, very young side, this Cairns side, and Kerry Williams is obviously looking to the young talent that's come from Cairns and trying to give them some confidence. This girl can shoot the ball. There's no doubt about that. And she was the one who turned it over, so she did a great job to make sure she had some denial defense and knocked it down with a three. Huge confidence booster for the Marlins.
Thompson with the three for Cairns, and then Palvas answers with a two on the other end. It's a very fast-paced game here. We're in for a track meet as Swain gets the finish plus the foul. And that's what Swain can do. She is super aggressive, putting the ball on the floor, looking to score every time she touches it.
Yeah, it's hard to judge at this early stage whether the up-tempo is going to suit Rip or the Dolphins. You know, with Swain the way she's playing, you would think that if they can stay up-tempo, you know, the Dolphins will certainly relish that. Again, you know, USC Rip not getting back in transition D.
Bit of pressure.
No,
Swain
great steal there.
Gets the steal in the backcourt. Misses the left-handed layup down there. Again, both teams are plagued a bit with missed layup opportunities. That one really hurt Cairns. They're down 3. Keisha Lee, 3 is off. Tipped out of bounds off of Cairns, so it's going to stay with the Rib. I like this fast pace, though. It's going to be interesting to see if they could go for 4 quarters. They're backing up from tough games last night.
Exactly, and you know, that's a big factor. You know, come third quarter, it'll be interesting to see which team, you know, has the energy to maintain it. You know, there will be ebbs and flows, no doubt, as we progress through the game. But, you know, probably the young talent of the Dolphins, you know, they should be able to do back up 2 games in a row. You know, I don't know how tough last night was, but obviously the loss would have hurt. But, you know, it depends how they recovered today. Kerry Williams, you know, he's very much a smart coach, so he would have made sure that, you know, the ladies got the recovery that they needed. But this is where the USC Rip will be tough because, you know, they'll just dominate both ends of the floor rebounding, and then Palvas just gets to the rack. But, yeah, again, missed opportunities.
Yeah, it's got to be like the 4th or 5th missed free throw, missed layup from the Rip. Let's see if Cairns can respond. They're down 3. Thompson dribbled it off her foot, pushing up court.
Yeah, not a lot of ball movement in that offensive set, which would be really frustrating for Kerry Williams. Sarah Hurd does a great job, though, on the defensive board.
And there's...
Gee, she's got some silky smooth moves, hasn't she?
Swain is a player. She is super impressive. For someone so young as well, Chris, I think she's 15? Yeah, Shanice Swain, 15 or 16, I think. And, you know, she came into the weekend averaging 17 points a game in the QBL. That's super impressive.
Oh, most definitely. And, you know, it's going to be interesting to see as she progresses in her career, you know, what sort of level she can get to. But if she's showing those sort of moves at that age, you know, anything's possible. Get to the AIS. But a big thing for them, oh my goodness, right on cue. We couldn't have asked anything better.
She's certainly a confident player, and that's, I think, sometimes is more not more important, I shouldn't say, but it's as important as skills. Yeah,
well, here's a mismatch, but great defensive pressure. Palvas, you would have said, was all money then. But again, the smaller Dolphins side doing a great job on the defensive end at this stage. You know, 10 apiece, and we've got still 4 minutes to play in the first term.
And that's another part of Shanice Swain game that I really love also. Can not just settle in for jump shots either. Could have pulled up there, saw a gap to attack and tries to get to the rim. Doesn't finish, but goes to the free throw line for a couple shots. And it's someone so young, you see kids usually settle in for jump shots. Now, yeah, Swain getting to the rim.
There's no doubt she's been coached, you know, from the likes of Kerry Williams and the other coaches in Cairns that, and she's adapted to that. I mean, Kerry was very much in his playing days, you know, it was about shoot the ball. If you're open, shoot it. She's obviously got that mentality, but very, very smart as well in terms of, you know, picking and choosing when she decides to shoot the ball or when she decides to get her other players involved. Again, good defensive pressure from Sarah Hurd and the Dolphins, and they're away again, up-tempo. Here's Swain.
Yeah, Swain going to settle things down, and Cairns going to run it in the half court. Swain goes to the left hand, flips it up with the right, misses, but she's fouled again. So Swain setting up camp at the free throw line here in the first quarter.
Well, just a very simple play there. You know, Sarah Hurd setting the high on-ball screen, Swain coming off that. No show from the USC Rip player. You know, they're probably indecisive about whether they show or whether they go under. You know, Swain can hit the three. She can penetrate to the rack, so it's always going to be a tough decision to make defensively. Not too sure what Jared would be doing in regards whether they are going to get over the top or go under. But in that situation, she just exposed that poor defensive effort.
She missed both free throws, but she's going to have another go as there was a lane violation on the rip. And that's one thing that Swain, I think when you look at her statistics on the season, coming into the weekend, shooting at just under 67% from the free throw line. So if you were going to knock one aspect of the game, might want to look at that free throw shooting. And everyone wants to average as many points as they possibly can, Ken. So I think
they call it the charity stripe, don't they? But
yeah.
the amount of players that struggle from that part, they work on other aspects of their game, and rightly so. But sometimes, gee, if you can shoot at 90% from the charity stripe, it's a big difference. Particularly in those close games. How often as a coach you look back and go, well, we only made 5 of 11 or 6 of 14, and you lose the game by 3. It's hard not to get upset when players miss those shots from the free throw line.
And looking at the statistics from the game last night for Cairns, they only got to the free throw line 5 times, so they've already topped their attempts from last night this evening, as Swain again getting inside, missing, but fouled yet again. And Rip are having a tough time here containing Shanice Swain.
Yeah, that was just a simple give and go. It couldn't get any more basic than that. Feed it inside to Tompkins, and Swain just cuts off that. Again, no help defence. I'm sure Jared will be looking to correct that at quarter time. But that's again just players talking on D, being aware of what is happening. When they feed it inside to the post, there was no pressure on the post feed. Those sort of simple things make it easy for Swain to just continue to do what she wants to do.
And it's interesting because she can do a bit of everything. It's hard to guard when someone can put the ball on the floor, can shoot the ball, and is so versatile. So it's interesting. I wouldn't be surprised if Jay McCracken changes maybe one of the veterans on and maybe puts a pal vest on to Swain if she continues to dominate as she has so far in this quarter.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to, and obviously a zone is an option as well to clog up the middle. But again, as you said, Swain can shoot the 3, so it's a tough one to decide what to do, because at the moment, she's getting to the rack easy. She's the only one that's really scoring at the moment for the Dolphins. So, do they try and nullify that to get the ball out of her hands so that the Dolphins have to go to someone else? It'll be interesting to see what adjustments he makes there.
Summer Evans checks in. Keisha Lee gonna re-enter the game for the Rip. Talia Tupea at the free throw line for a 3-point play opportunity, and a lot of ins and outs on this one. Missed free throw. Both teams struggling a bit from the free throw line here tonight. We're not at that 12. We've got about 2:45 to go in the first quarter. Swain spins to the left, flips one up and in.
Just tough to guard, isn't she? And what a headache for the opposition coach. Wonderful thing to have in your team. And I think she's in for a big one tonight, unless the USC Rip can find an answer to nullify her penetration.
Big block there from Tompkins, denying Yasmin Miller. I don't think the announcer here called foul, but wasn't a foul. And then there is a foul, though, on the floor.
So at the moment, Swain leading all scorers, 7 points, out of the 14 for the Dolphins.
Bianca McDonald at the free throw line for a couple shots, getting fouled on the baseline out of bounds play. Hits the first. It's an interesting one, though, Swain. When you watch her, she's not a left-hander, but we've seen her almost exclusively go to the left hand on the offensive end, which I find really interesting. I think maybe setting things up to go to show the left, but maybe go to the right. Who knows?
Yeah, well, there's a big point guard. Tompkins taking it from one end of the floor to the other. And unfortunately, turnover for the Dolphins. But, pretty ominous sign when your big is handling the ball like that.
And this is a pretty young lineup out here for Rip. Lee gets the ball inside, goes to the right hand, flips it up, no good. Good rebound there by Evans.
Yeah, great defensive pressure from Tompkins again.
with this lineup out there for the Rip as Thompson goes right at the defense. Offensive rebound, huge from Evans. Spins on the baseline, airballs a layup attempt. But this Rip lineup here, you got to think it's going to feature Lee or Tupe, who has it now. Swings it to McDonald. Three-pointers up and good. Beautiful transition basketball there from the Rip. They're up
just
two.
A classic example of, penetrate, find the open man, and knock down the shot. Perfect offense from the USC Rip. Forces Cairns into, a poor shot option down the other end of the floor, and, they've now jumped away to a 2-point lead. But as you said, a very young side on the floor for USC Rip, and that's what McCracken would be looking for, resting his starters and, the bench coming in and doing their job.
Well, Ups checks back in. That's Catherine Ups. We have on the score sheet that Lisa Ups is wearing 6, but there's no 6 out there. I think she's wearing the 8 jersey tonight. She checked out for her sister, Catherine. Lee has it. She'll fire a long 2. That's good. 4-point lead now for Rip. Then a bit of pressure. Knocked out of bounds by Ups. It's going to stay with Cairns. About 1:11 to go in the first quarter.
And this is what I thought. I was just wondering whether USC would put a bit more pressure on the Cairns side, because they do struggle in the backcourt, with a relatively inexperienced and young point guard. And when she is under pressure, she just seems to, just make the odd 1 or 2 mistakes. So the Rip will probably look to exploit that where they can, particularly on a made basket. They'll probably go to some sort of press.
Good offensive rebound and put back there by Tompkins. Nice dribble penetration from Thompson, setting it up. Under a minute now. We got actually 40 seconds to go in the quarter. In the 2-point game here, Rip up 2. Tupe is 3 off the back of the rim. Obbs grabs an offensive rebound. They're going to call a jump ball. Possession arrow favors Cairns. 33 seconds to go in the quarter.
Substitution Cairns. Welcome to the floor, number 12, Stephanie Famacom.
Ken's gonna, probably not gonna go for the 2-for-1 here. Ken, Link, I think they're gonna.
They're running a horn set here, so and staying in the hand. So that's a great penetration move. Just can't finish it again. So the Rip will get last opportunity, but again, they're not looking to slow it down. That's great transition basketball from the Rip.
Too easy for the Rip. I would have thought they might have held out for the final shot of the quarter, but Cairns will have that opportunity now. Thompson has it, picks up her dribble. To get it over to Downing. She didn't realize the clock was finishing, and that's going to end the first quarter. And what a quarter of action it was, Ken. Rip going out to a 4-point lead. What did you think of that first quarter of action? It was pretty up and down. Both teams struggled a bit at times to put the ball in the basket. Rip picked up a little momentum heading into the break, though.
Yeah, as we mentioned in the call there, it looked like a bit of nerves at the start from both teams for some reason. Missing relatively easy shots. Sometimes it was good defensive pressure. Like the up-tempo style of both teams, I mean, that's the sort of coaching I love. Whether you can maintain that for 4 quarters. The Rip, what I liked about them is the spread of scorers. They didn't rely just on Pelvast or the other import. They spread that scoring around. So that's probably going to be their advantage as the game wears on. For Cairns, well, as we know, I mean, Swain, she's going to be difficult to stop, but Cairns need to find someone else, because she will have times where she'll probably miss 2 or 3 shots. And then Cairns, where are they going to get their scoring options from? Tompkins started to show, her good inside presence. So, as the score indicates, 4 points, nothing in it. Both teams keen to run the floor, which is great. And as you said, in that last 16 seconds, every coach would want the team to pull it up. Not on that situation. Rip saw the option, and, in the end, it worked to perfection.
It is at the end of the first quarter. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back with the second quarter of action here in your QBL Game of the Week, presented to you by Nothing But Net Media. Back with you here at USC Sports Stadium as the Rip up by 4 on the Cairns Dolphins, 20-16. John Guarna here with former Mackay Meteors head coach Ken Furdak. Ken, statistics-wise, I know you're taking a look at it now, so I'm going to put you on the spot yet again. What's jumping out at you? I see you looking at the Cairns stats.
Well, the big one that I just had a quick look at is, the number of missed shots, as we talked about early in the piece. They really struggle to find the basket. Both teams, Cairns making 6 of 16, and USC Rip, 8 of 23, which is quite phenomenal. Rip rectifies that in the first possession of the second quarter. So that's not a great stat to start the game. It's not not a coach killer by any stretch, but both teams have had good looks at the basket, but just haven't been able to make their shots. But again, both teams have rectified that in the second quarter, so things could change quite dramatically here.
That was a beautiful turnaround jump shot there from Summer Evans. Now Tupea getting inside, kicks it out for Lee. Swing it around. Good ball movement. Three-pointer is up off the back of the rim, but another offensive rebound for Rip from Tupea. Tough miss there from McDonald. Lee wants it inside. She gets it. Double team, loses it on the way up. And good hands there by Thompson, throwing the ball out of bounds off of Keisha Lee. So it's going to be Cairns ball. Got to give a few shout-outs on the old Facebook page. A lot of Dolphins fans checking in. Mara Farmer says, "Go Dolphins." Mo Morehouse played under 16 with Kerry Williams. Does amazing things for the community and basketball in North Queensland. Ken, you know that. You worked with Kerry a few times.
Yeah, and he's part of the Basketball Queensland development offices that they now have throughout the state, which I think is a fantastic move by Basketball Queensland. Residing in North Queensland for much of my basketball life, one of the biggest problems was not having those coaches in those regional centres. Kerry Williams, as that was mentioned there, has done some great things for basketball in the Cairns region, and now to see him part of the BQ program is wonderful. There's coaches in Townsville and Rockhampton and Mackay now, which, is fantastic for basketball generally, because a lot of these young players, need some guidance. Rather than having to come down to Brisbane or, the southeast corner, they now get those opportunities and that expertise from people like Kerry Williams. And
I know he works very closely with Shanice Swain, as we said numerous times, but you always see Kerry out in the community, which is great. I know it is part of his role, but I also know that it's part of his passion as well. So doing great things for the basketball community in North Queensland, Coach Kerry Williams.
So here's a bit of defensive pressure from the USC Rip. And, Dolphins have turned the ball over. Tompkins does well, though, to get it back.
It's going to be interesting to see if they call this one an unsportsmanlike. McDonald fouling Tompkins on the way up the sideline there.
Yeah, she certainly didn't make any play at the ball. She stuck her leg out, almost a trip in some ways, but I think they probably decided it was a bit too far out from home to call an unsportsmanlike in that instance anyway.
Cairns has the ball down 4. Tompkins way away from the basket. Pressured by Lee. Gets away from the pressure. Goes up for the shot. Gets it to fall plus the foul. Really interesting to see Lee guarding Tompkins so heavily so far out behind the three-point line.
Oh, some great moves from Tompkins, but exactly that. I mean, she's not a threat at that so far away from the basket. But she showed some fantastic moves and got to the rack. And, potentially a three-point play for the Dolphins.
Lionheart Lisa Ups. That's a great nickname. I like that. Free throws good. 1 point difference in the game as Rip up 22-21. Viancia Abbott checks back in. And Keisha Lee going to get a breather. What do you think? You think that had anything to do with that last defensive possession, Ken?
I think it might have.
Let's see if the Rip can increase this lead. They're clinging at the moment to a 1 point lead. It's Catherine Ubbs looking into the block for Palvas. Swings it to Tupea. Driving baseline, jumpers up and down.
I really like the off-the-ball player movement from the USC Rip about, they've got players setting screens away. They've got players setting up screens. So a lot of stuff is happening off the ball, which is creating open shots for, some of their players, particularly Tupea there on that last possession. But again, we're going to be saying, I think it's going to come ad nauseum. But, what a move again from Shanice Swain.
She is something special. I cannot. I'm enjoying it in the moment now, but I can't wait to see her in a few years when she gets a bit more basketball underneath her belt, especially going down to Canberra and all of the basketball she's going to be playing down there. Just super impressive player. Foul called on Swain on that one. That's going to be her second personal. It's the first team foul on Cairns in the quarter.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how long Kerry leaves her out there with 2 fouls. It's probably nothing to get too worried about just yet, but you wouldn't want her picking up her third so early in the game.
Ups to ups. Tupea has to fire it through. The shot clock winding down. Ups tips it out to Palvas. Palvas, though, loses it off her foot. Thompson has it now, looking to go right at Tupea. A lot of contact. There is a foul called.
Yeah, she was probably fairly fortunate there, Thompson. I think she made the wrong choice to try and draw the foul. It looked pretty good position, but she got away with it, and in the end we'll go to the stripe to shoot 2.
Yeah, that one goes against Tupea. I thought they might have gone to Ups coming from behind trying to block the shot, but they got it with Tupea on the body there blocking Thompson. And Thompson really one of the more well-rounded guards in the competition. Coming into the weekend averaging 20 points, 4.5 rebounds, 5.5 assists a game. The points per game is 5th in the competition. The assists per game, 3rd. So
fairly impressive stats, aren't they?
Really impressive stats, and she's been held in check so far for the most part. Interesting to see if she can get going.
Just see her off the ball there. She's hobbling a bit on the right knee. It is she's wearing some sort of strapping and knee guard, so I'm not too sure whether it's knee or just a little bit further down in the calf. But she did limp quite noticeably then on that possession. But they're leaving her out there, so maybe it was just a bit of a knee knock or something like that.
Well, tied at 24 here, Ken. 6:30 to go. Good look inside. Yeah. Tupea finishes it with 2.
Great backdoor cut from Tupea, and fantastic vision to find her.
I do love what the Rip are doing here, though. In a tight game, you got to try and get a couple easy ones. I love how they're pressing the ball after every single make, and even when it's a dead ball, they look to pick up a bit of pressure.
Yeah, and I think that's really going to be the Dolphins' weakness. If that pressure is sustained, their back court will probably crumble a little bit under that pressure. How they handle it is going to be a key factor for the Dolphins. They're looking to get it inside to Tompkins again. Great defensive pressure from the Rip, and they're away again.
Ups hits Catherine Ups on the wing. They're going to slow down. It's a good transition defense there from Dolphins. Catherine Ups at the elbow. That's Lisa Ups. Finishes the layup. It's a really nice step-through layup there for Ups.
Great patience from the Rip too. The shot clock was down to something like 5 seconds, but they didn't panic, moved the ball around, and, great possession.
Let's see. Tompkins has to swing it. Good ball movement. Here's Swain again going to the left, finishing with the right.
So they're double teaming Tompkins when she gets the ball inside the post. They quickly flick it back out, and who else is there waiting for it? One-on-one, she is not going to be stopped tonight. And, that's probably something that Jay McCracken has to have a look at. But it's very difficult because he's doing the right thing by doubling the post. But, if they get it outside to Shania Swain, she's just off again.
Well, here is Swain with the ball. Her team's down 2. We got under 5 minutes to go in the first half.
And here goes Tompkins again, showing her moves. That's pretty impressive. Starts from the three-point line, and they just sit and wait and see what happens.
Palvast recovers, gets it back to Ups. Jumper is no good. Swain loses the rebound to Ups, who goes back up with it and finishes. Looks like Kerry Williams wants to have a chat to his troops. There's a timeout on the floor. We're going to take a quick one as well. We'll come back with some more QBL action shortly here on Nothing But Net Media. Back with you here at USC Sports Stadium on the beautiful Sunshine Coast. It's a 30-28 lead for the USC Rip over the Cairns Dolphins. Want to get a couple shout outs in. Jamie Hay on the YouTube channel checking in. And also want to make sure that we get shout out to Mo Morehouse. Says, hey, Big Ken, how you going?
There's a blast from the past. Thank you, Mr. Morehouse.
I also have Mandy Edgerton in there as well. See you taking a look at some stats, taking some notes. What do you got there, Ken?
Yeah, well, we talked about the field goal shooting percentage at the end of the first quarter, how both teams really struggled offensively to find their mark. The Rip's still shooting only from 34% from the field, but the Dolphins have certainly rectified that to be 50% from the field. The three-point shooting percentage is remarkable. 1 from 9 for the Rip and 2 of 4 for the Dolphins. So, shooting-wise, the Rip just haven't found their rhythm just yet, but this lady has.
Shanice Swain, 5 straight points for Cairns. They take a 3-point lead. Man, it's a nice-looking jump shot. Ubbs tries to respond with her own 3. She can't. That's Summer Evans with the defensive rebound, kicking it ahead for Oxlade.
So she's 5 from 7 from the field. Shanice, I apologise for the name. Shanice Swain. And, from the three-point line, again, 75% from the three-point line. So, as we said, she's going to be certainly the target for the Dolphins. It's whether they can find other people to step up. But, it's going to be close. I think this one's obviously close at the moment, but I just see both teams just still feeling their way. The defensive pressure happens in stages. It's not consistent.
Swain, step-back jumper is good. I'll tell you one thing that has been consistent, Shanice Swain's jump shot so far in the first half.
And there's just not a lot of pressure on her either. She looks there, a great steal from Swain as well. She just seems to have, as all good players do, they seem to have so much time. And, whether it's just poor closeouts from the USC Rip or whether it's just that she is so good that she finds that she's got time to be able to put that shot away.
Yeah, she's got really impressive handles. She is a name to watch for sure. I mean, just the growth in her game from when I saw her earlier in the season versus the Capitals to tonight is a massive difference in her game. Certainly played with confidence in that one, but looks ultra confident here and going to the left hand, using the right, finishing strong, not shying away from contact. This is a 15, 16-year-old kid we're talking about here, Ken.
And this is what I love about the QBL, particularly those programs that concentrate on their locals. And I'm not going to get on my soapbox, but, this is what it's about, giving these youngsters the opportunity to play at that next level to see whether they're capable of handling the pressure. And, there's no doubt that this young lady has got it in spades. There's some players that come into the programs and, after 1 or 2 seasons just find that, they're just not quite right for QBL. But, those programs that continue to look to develop the young talent is really what the QBL's about. You'd still like to have the stars, there's no doubt about that, but the programs that, continue to nurture that young talent are the ones that I think, long term are going to feel the benefits. And we've seen that with the Dolphins. They've won championships. Townsville at the moment, what they're doing with their players, they get the right imports in, but they concentrate on their local talent as well, as does Mackay now, which is wonderful to see. So, that's really what it's about in the QBL. And classic example here tonight, what we're seeing with Shanice Swain.
It's great to see the local talent shine. There was a timeout taken by Coach Jay McCracken, so we'll take a quick one as well. 2:36 left in the first half. It's a 3-point lead for Cairns over the Rip. Your QBL Game of the Week presented to you by Nothing But Net Media. Back with you here at USC Sports Stadium as the Cairns Dolphins are up 37-34 on the University of Sunshine Coast Rip. Really impressive quarter here for Shanice Swain. You mentioned off air, Ken, she had 7 points, now up to 22.
Yeah.
In a blink of an eye.
Exactly, and they're now trying to put a bit of pressure on her, and a wonderful job there done by, Bianca McDonald in that situation, and, just a bit of hand pressure on the shot, much better closeout, and she missed that shot. But, yeah, as you said, 8 from 10 from the field, 2 from 3 from the three-point line. They're amazing stats, and we've still got 2 minutes to play in this quarter, plus 2 quarters to come. So I think we'll make a prediction at halftime what she could end up with.
Well, we've seen a 45-point game here a few weeks back from Keisha Lee. I'm not going to put that pressure on Shanice Swain, but she's halfway there with 2 minutes to go. And there was a foul called. That one was called against Bianca Abbott. That's the 5th one on Rip. So that's the penalty at the free throw line for Kansas Hutchinson, who hits them both.
And the Rip had foul trouble in the first quarter too, getting Dolphins getting to the line because they were in foul trouble, and it's happened again in the second quarter. So, that's just easy points for your opposition when that happens. And, Dolphins have also fixed their defensive rebound issues as well. They weren't blocking out as much as you would have hoped, but, look at that, wide open inside to Sarah Hurd, but couldn't quite come off.
Yeah, tough pass there. Kansas switched things up, gone to a bit of a zone here. Tupea going to shoot over that zone. It's short off the front of the rim. Evans chases down the defensive rebound, but she stepped out of bounds.
Well, Bianca McDonald is the one for the Rip at the moment who's really, upped the defensive intensity. The other players have to come with her. She's just chasing everything, trapping when she can, putting pressure on the ball when she can. And it'll be interesting to see whether these other players, feed off that sort of energy.
Coach Williams reinserts Thompson and Tompkins. Palvast in the corner, 3 is up. That's good. Chevy Palvast needed that one, as did the Rip. They're down 2.
She was a big factor when she played for the the Meteorettes several years ago in there. They finished second that year, but, outstanding player.
Swain, they're going to call her for the travel. I don't know how. I mean, she did. I thought it was okay, actually. She spun left but finished with the right. That was an impressive finish.
It was an impressive move, but it was a travel. So the referees got it right on that occasion.
Just give it to her. Come on. It looked good.
I think if it was a dunk, they probably would have.
Well, I don't know if Swain's there yet, but I wouldn't doubt if she could get there.
Anything's possible, I think.
Lee hits a tough jump shot, and Rip tied up at 39, under a minute to go in this one.
Yeah, they've just steadied the ship there in the last 2 possessions. The Rip just started to slow things down, find the open man, and feed to their strengths, I suppose.
Foul called on Cairns. It's gonna go against. They give that one to Hutchinson. That's the 4th team foul on Cairns. There's about 43 seconds to go in the half. Game's tied at 39. Tupea coming off the screen, gets it to Lee. Now inside, Palvast turnaround jumper's good. Chevy Palvast starting to heat up here a bit. Forgot to start the clock. There's 20 seconds to go in this one. And Ken's going to try and hold for a final shot. Please don't pay attention to my clock. It's way off. There's Tompkins losing the ball out of bounds. I'll fix the clock for you. There's 9 seconds to go. Cairns was going to have the ball along the baseline underneath the Rip basket. 41-39, Rip up 2. 9 to go in the first half. Swain gets the inbounds. There's a foul inside. It's actually going to be outside on Shanice Swain. Rip's already in the penalty, so Swain's going to go to the free throw line for a couple shots. And those are coach killers. They did a really good job. Swain was contained there, and you get called for the hand check.
Well, yeah, in that situation, I think Bianca McDonald decided, I'm going to send her to the line to shoot them rather than give her an open track to the basket, and obviously she missed her first shot there. So I don't know whether it's a deliberate ploy, but in that situation I think it might have been to get the last possession for the quarter as well.
Swain went 1 of 2. Rip are going to hold for the final shot. Up by 1. Toupee gets inside, swings it. 3-pointers up, and no good. It looked like it was going to fall there for McDonald, but that's going to end the first half in a great first half of action here, Ken. It's a 1-point game. You thought it might be close. Doesn't get much closer than 1 point.
Look, it's a fantastic game of women's basketball. Both teams, found their rhythm a little bit better in that second quarter. The Rips' shooting percentage is still nowhere near where the coaching staff would want it to be, and that's probably a good sign going to the break 1 point up. I think they'll fix that. Their big answer is how are they going to stop Swain, so that's going to be interesting to see what Jay McCracken does there. For Cairns, shooting the ball well, they probably need to improve their defensive pressure, and I'm pretty sure that's something that Kerry Williams will talk about, particularly on the closeouts and putting some pressure on the, that inbound, the pass inside as well. They're just letting, Pelvast is just dominating in those last couple of possessions, so that's something that the Dolphins would be looking to stop.
It's been a really close half of action. We got another one coming up for you, but it is halftime, so we'll take a break. It's a 1-point lead for Rip over Cairns, 41-40 at the half. We'll take a break. We'll come back with some halftime statistics and the second half of action here in your QBL Game of the Week, presented to you by Nothing But Net Media, Stream Team Australia, Australian Sports Network, and, of course, Basketball Queensland. Welcome back to the University of Sunshine Coast Stadium on the beautiful Sunshine Coast here in Queensland. It is a Rip up by 1, 41-40 over the Cairns Dolphins. John Gorney here with former Mackay Meteors head coach Ken Furtick. Ken, what's looking on the halftime statistics?
Well, John, as we've mentioned throughout the call, the shooting percentage at both sides was very poor early in the piece. Cairns seemed to rectify that in the second term, so they've gone to half-time with 53% from the field, 14 of 26, but the Rip still shooting around 30% from the field, 18 of 47, so that's a remarkable stat there in regards to how many shots they've had. The Rip are getting a good scoring spread between Keisha Lee, who's got 10, Tupaya's got 8, and Chevy Pelfast with 7. For Cairns, as we said, they really haven't got anyone else except Shanice Swain. 23 points, 3 steals, and this stat, she's 5 from 11 from the free throw line. So we talked about players, working on aspects of their game. The free throw, she puts that up to around 9 or 10 from 11, and she gets to 30 points at half-time, which is an unbelievable stat. Rebounding, 23 apiece. Both teams, even in that regard, but probably the Rip would probably look at that and say, well, they should be dominating the boards with who they've got. So Cairns have done a pretty good job right up to half-time. How they're going to stop Swain is the big question that I asked the Rip. And for Cairns, it really comes down to, can they sustain the defensive pressure that they're going to need, because Rip do share the ball really well.
Swain, pretty impressive to get to the free throw line 11 times in a half. Thompson missed the long jump shot. Here comes Tupea for the Rip. Gets it out to Palvast. Steps into a long 2 that's short. Hurd with the rebound. Here's Swain with it, and I think you don't want her getting ahead of steam. I think you almost have to pick her up half court. Nice footwork there, and Tompkins hits the jump shot. Really nice footwork there from Tompkins.
Yeah, the fact that this is the Rip's home court and they're shooting at a very woeful percent, surprises me, because they, as your home court, you should shoot the ball fairly well. But and it's not really because of the defensive pressure of Cairns. I wouldn't put it down to that. They've had some very good open looks. They've knocked that one down. So that's the stat I'll be watching over the next 2 quarters to see whether they rectify and stay positive with their shooting. You don't want to start getting negative. Because you won't improve that percentage at all.
Swain missed the 3-pointer. Here comes Tupea. Lisa Ubbs gets in the paint. Can she finish? They're not going to count it. No continuation there for Lisa Ubbs. Foul. I think the referees, are they going to count it?
Yeah, I think it should go down. She was continuation by the looks there. No.
No? Okay. I thought, because they said no, then he started to signal, but it's a foul on Cairns.
And Jay rightly so just asked the question, but basically said the ball was still on the floor. She hadn't really picked it up to start her shooting.
Here's Lee for 3. Short, gets her on rebound, flips it up and in.
And that's what I talked about. Cairns' biggest problem is not boxing out, and those second options are just coach killers in regards to, you want to have a team have a one-shot option basically, and Lee did well there. She missed the shot, chased a shot, and grabbed the rebound for an easy 2.
Tompkins fires a jumper that's too strong. Ups comes down with it. Don't forget, folks, if you are tuning in on the YouTube channel or on the Facebook page, let us know in the comments who you are and where you're watching from so we get you a shout out. A lot of Cairns fans tuning into this one. Lee was in a bit of trouble. Tupea is open for 3. That's short. Palvast tips it around. Lee recovers for Rip. Now Palvast for 3 is short. It's like ping pong out there, bouncing back and forth. And here comes Cairns.
The Rips certainly aren't worried about their shooting percentage because they just keep shooting the ball. So I suppose it has to go up to go in. Some of those shot selections, though, wouldn't please the coaching staff, I wouldn't think.
Drive and kick. Thompson misses. Tompkins gets the rebound. Finds Swain. Corner 3 up. That's short as well. Good box out there from Tupea. And she kicks ahead for Palvast. Palvast goes right at the defense and is fouled. She's going to go to the free throw line for 2 shots.
Yeah, apart from that last possession from Cairns, their first couple of possessions in this half or quarter really haven't been, I would have thought, what they would have discussed at half time. They just looked a bit rushed. Rip, to their credit, have come back and, they looked a little bit settled, but as I said in that last possession for the Rip, they got the rebound 3 times, and as soon as it was kicked out, it was a shot straight away instead of, reusing the shot clock.
Palvas missed them both. Fight for the rebound. Palvas comes down with it. Free throw shooting hasn't been great tonight for either team. In a close battle, Ken, that's something we need to keep an eye on, a 3-point game.
Yeah, I mean, the shooting percentage from there has been, it is very, very poor for this standard. And as we said, it could be the difference between who walks away with the win here tonight, the one that rectifies that very, very quickly.
It's the 3rd team foul on Cairns, and we're pretty much 3 minutes into the 3rd quarter. Lee hits the first one.
Yeah, both teams shooting around that 50 to 52% from the charity stripe, which is well below par.
I gave 1 point to Cairns there. I fixed it up. Score is correct, 47-42. Rip up 5. Scrapping for possession. There's a foul on the floor. It's Catherine, goes against Catherine Ups. First team foul on Rip.
Tompkins again handling the ball in the backcourt for Cairns. It's obviously a ploy from Kerry Williams to relieve a bit of pressure from his guards, I would think, because she's certainly not looking to give it up. So it must be some sort of plan from their point of view.
Palvas defensive rebound. They call it jump ball. And the possession arrow favors Rip. Pretty talented guards out there for Cairns. Surprising to see Tompkins bringing it up, to be honest with you. Tupea gets it to fall, plus the foul. Nice move and a strong finish there from Talia Tupea.
Yeah, great play from Tupea in that situation. Yeah, in regards to Cairns handling the backcourt, as we mentioned, they do struggle a little bit under pressure, and that may be the ploy to have that potential mismatch, but also to relieve them, to get them into a position where they can run the offense in the front court.
Free throw good for Tupea. Rip have pushed the lead out now to 8.
So here's this pressure again, extended defense from the Rip. And Cairns break it down on this occasion.
Thompson swings it. Hutchinson from the wing. That's good. That's a big bucket there from Elle Hutchinson.
Yeah, and Elle can shoot the ball. She's always been in a position of she can get into an open look, but 9 times out of 10 would always look to give the ball away. But she has a beautiful shot on her, and I would suspect to see her shooting the ball a lot more for Cairns.
Good hands there from Thompson, stripping it from Catherine Ups, and it goes out of bounds off of Ups, so Cairns has possession. Good defensive stop there for Cairns.
Yeah, they're still trailing by 5, but again, both teams just seem to be finding their way again in this 3rd quarter.
Let's go, Rip City, Rip.
Got the Audrey McLaughlin, a Rip fan, tuning in on the Facebook page. 3-pointers missed. Tupea grabs the defensive rebound for the Rip. Skip pass is nearly stolen. Lost out of bounds, though, there by Evans.
Yeah, Cairns had no ball movement on that possession. Again, it was a good open look, but, just didn't move the ball to get to that point. But the Rip obviously decided to let her shoot the ball because there was no closeout, no hand pressure on the shot.
Lee for 3, that's good. Keisha Lee starting to pick things up here in the 3rd for Rip. And looks like Coach Kerry Williams has seen enough. He wants a timeout, so we'll take a quick one as well. 53-45 the lead for Rip over Cairns with about 5:25 to go in the third quarter here in your QBL Game of the Week, presented to you by Nothing But Net Media. Back with you here at USC Rip Stadium. 53-45. Good timeout there by Coach Williams as Thompson drives, finishes, plus the foul. Well, that's what you like to see coming out of a timeout. You want to see him run the play.
You've said my exact words. That's exactly what Coach Williams would have wanted. Come out, execute the play, settle themselves down. It was only an 8-point ball game, and that possession was the one that was crucial for Cairns to just give them the momentum again, and it really is swinging, the pendulum going both ways with both teams. Rip probably looking the goods at the moment.
It's far from over this one though, Ken. It's
Most
a 6-point game, and it just feels like Rip every time they get a bit of momentum as Keisha Lee starts to heat up. It looks like every time feels like Rip are starting to pull away, Cairns has a response so far.
Yeah, well, Keisha Lee now moves to 17 points, so she had 9 at halftime. So she's come in this third quarter, and they call it the championship quarter. This is where they need to step up, and the Rip at the moment, they're trading baskets, both sides.
Oh, they're going to give Tupea the continuation on that one as Shanice Swain picks up the blocking foul. Tough bucket there from Talia Tupea. She's going to go to the free throw line for a 3-point play opportunity. It's also the 5th team foul on Cairns, so they're in the penalty with 4:42 to go in the third. Free throw good as well. India Bauer going to check in for Shanice Swain.
So here's this extended pressure again, easily broken this time by Cairns.
Tompkins splits the double team and finishes a tough turnaround. How many does Swain have? Is that 3 or 4?
In terms of fouls?
Yeah.
No, she still only has 2.
She had that would have been her 3rd then that she just picked up.
Yeah, according to the stats, they still only got it at 2. But yeah, if she that was definitely her 3rd if she fouled there. And that's obviously taken her out of the play, which is a real opportunity. And this is where the Dolphins players need to step up. They've lost their playmaker at least for a few minutes, potentially the rest of the quarter. And this is where Tompkins, I think, will start to come into her own, and that's where they want it, inside, strong move, but a 3-second violation.
I don't think they call those anymore, Ken.
No, well, one thing I do notice with Tompkins, and this is the first time I've seen her play, but she does fiddle around with the ball a lot when she gets it inside. She can almost get the ball, go straight up, and but she just always wants to put the ball on the floor to do a move or something like that, which is not a bad thing, but in that situation just took a bit too long.
59-51, Rip up by 8. Cairns in the zone. Tupea is going to have to fire a deep 3.
Whoa.
She drains that one. The 3-point shot has started to fall here for the Rip. In the third, they're up by 11.
Well, remember they were at 30% at halftime, so at the end of this quarter we'll have a look and see how much they have rectified their shooting percentage. Tapaya now moves up to 14 points. Keisha Lee at 20 points. So they certainly are finding range now in this third quarter.
Referee Darryl Millard calls the blocking foul on Ups, sending Thompson to the free throw line for a couple of shots. Sarah Hurd going to check in. Tompkins going to get a breather. And Lisa Ups. Is that a 6 or an 8? Just here.
Looks an 8.
It is an 8, right?
It's an 8 to me.
I mean, I wear glasses.
But we both wear
doesn't mean doesn't mean that we can see, does it?
It certainly looks like an 8.
Because on the score sheet it does have Lisa Ups in 6, so I thought maybe it is a 6, but no, it's definitely an 8. So Lisa Ups wearing the 8 tonight. Beyonce Abbott, the RIP captain, going to check in for Keisha Lee, giving Lee a bit of a breather with 3:30 to go. In the third, it's a 62-53 lead for RIP.
Well, it must be a 6 because I haven't altered it on the stats, but it's clearly an 8 to me. It's amazing what can become a talking point.
Yeah. Maybe I got to get up close. My nearsightedness will clarify it for us. Cairns does force a turnover. Evans' jump shot on the baseline. No good, and I think she passed up an opportunity to get to the basket on that one.
Yeah, most definitely. They're all settling for the outside shot. Sometimes it looks like they're a little bit nervous to take it inside. But, you know, the Cairns are on 5 team fouls. The RIP's still only on 3. And here, just as we say that, it's exactly what they decide to do, which is so much better from a Cairns point of view.
Jenny Thompson gets another bucket to fall. 62-55 the lead now for RIP.
So Cairns have gone to a 2-3 zone now just to, I think, try and disrupt the offensive prowess of the RIP, or just unsettle them a little bit, which, you know, the ball movement has slowed down and works on that occasion. So it'll be interesting to see if they stay in that 2-3 or whether they change it up on every possession.
Thompson's feeling it. Three-pointer well off, though.
That's poor offense. Wouldn't be happy with that, but as you said, she was wide open. But again, no ball movement. They did everything right on the defensive end, and then just, disappointingly, gave it up too easy on the offensive end, but lucky to get away with it because RIP couldn't make them pay on that occasion.
And Cairns has strung together a few stops here. They do trail by 7. Thompson for Bauer. Three-pointer short. Ups rebound. Lionheart, Lisa Ups. Kicks it ahead for Palvast, who saves it. Now back to Palvast in the corner. 3. Short. Evans rebound.
Great box out from Evans to really give her team the chance to be in transition. Can she finish it with a basket as well? Unfortunately, no, but great play from the youngster.
There's a great look, and then going to get a foul called on India Bauer. She was right in the hip of Chevy Palvast, so Palvast going to go to the free throw line for a couple shots with Cairns in the penalty.
You look at this Cairns side, and it'd be interesting to see the average age. But if they can keep this unit together for the next 2 seasons, and bring in 1 or 2 quality players, they're going to be tough.
They're pretty. I mean, I've been really impressed with the group tonight. I think the third quarter has been a little difficult for them. Probably not their greatest quarter of the night, but they're still hanging in there and they're scrapping. They're only down 7. I mean, game's far from over here. I just think that they need to kind of tighten a few things up a bit. I think you mentioned it in some of the comments. The shot selection probably has been hurting them a little more in this third quarter.
Yeah, most definitely. And they do the hard work on the defensive end. It doesn't necessarily mean you're going to come down and score every time, but when you do that work there, you want to at least come down, and if you can't run transition, you want to set up some sort of offense. But they've been very, very quick to pull the trigger on the shot, and that was during Tompkins being out. So obviously, as soon as she comes back in, she starts to be an offensive threat again. And
she went with what you suggested, Ken. So I'm wondering if you have a direct line to the Cairns bench. Just no mucking around, going right to the hoop to lay it in.
Yeah, I'm sure Kerry Williams has said it to her numerous times. And in that situation, if you're inside the key, you just want to put it up as quickly as possible.
And Toupee, that was a tough bucket there. Short pull-up jump shot. Thompson goes inside Tompkins, though, bounces it out of bounds.
Yeah, very unfortunate there. She just did the dribble a bit too hard, and the ball might be full of air and just bounced out and over her. And again, you know, that's a situation there where another 2 points could have whittled down this lead. Now, the USC Rip will not necessarily get the last possession, but they're looking to run their offense here.
There's Ups for three. It's short off the front of the rim. Tompkins rebound. She's going to bring it up court herself.
Here we go.
Goes right at the defense. Layup too strong. Good
great
offensive rebound by Hurd, and she's fouled.
Yeah, look at that. The two big players, or tallest players, down the floor first. You know, that's great basketball from Cairns, and you know, they're going to get rewarded by going to the stripe for two.
Good push up court. Sarah Hurd going to go to the free throw line for a couple of her first attempts of the game so far. There's 20 seconds to go in the third quarter. Cairns at the moment down by 9. Hurd can't hit the first. Second one is good. Don't forget, after the conclusion of the women's game, we will be bringing you the men's game between the University of Sunshine Coast Rip and the Cairns Marlins. Both teams played last night. Rip here going to hold for the final shot. Tupea working against Thompson. Goes to the left hand, and they're going to get Thompson for the foul. And Cairns again in the penalty, so Tupea going to go to the free throw line for a couple shots with 3 seconds to go in the third quarter. Tupea hits the first one, pushing the lead out to 9. Make it 10. And then Tupea gets the steal, jump shots off, and that's going to end the quarter. And the Rip took over there in that third quarter, pushing the lead out to 10. Pretty impressive performance from the Sunshine Coast Rip.
Yeah, great third quarter from the Rip. You know, McCracken would be very, very happy with the way they've come out. You know, looking at they've rectified their field goal shooting percentage. It's now back up to 40%. The big one for me, Swain, 23 points. Couldn't add a point in that third quarter. So they obviously made some adjustments there. Obviously, Swain getting her third foul hasn't helped Cairns' cause, but you know, looking at the way they've come back in that third quarter, I think the Rip just need to keep doing what they're doing and they'll get home.
It is the end of the third quarter. Before we take a quick break, I do want to remind you folks, everyone knows Narelle Kelly. She's been a huge part of the basketball community here in Queensland for many, many years. She's in a really tough fight at the moment. So we've set up a GoFundMe account. I shouldn't say we, there is a GoFundMe account set up for Narelle to help Narelle get well. Please go to the GoFundMe account, search Get Narelle Well, and make any and all donations that you possibly can to help Narelle with this fight. It is the end of the third quarter. We will take a quick break. We'll come back with the final quarter of action here in your QBL Game of the Week, presented to you by Nothing But Net Media. Welcome back to the University of Sunshine Coast campus here on the beautiful Sunshine Coast as the Rip City are up on the Cairns Dolphins, 68-58, heading into the final quarter of action here. Ken, it's do or die for the Dolphins. We see Shanice Swain back out on the court. Dolphins need to get going here early if they want to pull out the win.
Yeah, they have to roll the dice with Shanice Swain and hope that she doesn't get her fourth foul. But you know, the Rip have certainly lifted their defensive intensity in that third quarter. But Tompkins, she's come to play tonight and could be the difference. But, you know, Cairns really, they've gone back to their 2-3 again. So they're going to try and, you know, force the Rip to shoot from outside, clog up that middle in the hope that they can start to control the defensive boards and get some transition baskets very, very quickly. It is only 8 points, nothing in it.
Abbott has it double teamed, nearly lost it. Good double there. Lee is open for three. She drains it.
Yeah, and that's the, you could see Kerry Williams, he knew what was coming by double teaming the post, you know, left Lee wide open, and she's, you know, up to 23 points now for the game. And that's going to be Tompkins' foul for coming over the back too. So that's just adds insult into injury there from, you know, that situation. Rip hit a three.
Yeah, you want to double team Biancia Abbott in the post. I understand that, but you don't want to double team off of Keisha Lee.
No, most definitely not. Or if you do, you've got to make sure your rotations are really good so you can get that pressure on the outside shot, particularly because she has hit, you know, probably 3 of her last 4 or 5 shots.
It's an 11-point lead here for Rip. As Palvast swings it. Now Lee inside for Abbott. It's really nice ball movement here from Rip. Palvast open 3, in and out. Lee, though, follows it up and puts it in.
So there you go, great ball movement from the Rip, exactly what you want against a zone. They missed the shot. Cairns don't play right through to the possession and box out. And Lee, you know, she's been the difference, no doubt, in this second half.
Looks like there's a foul inside. Let's see if they get this one against. Looks like it's going to go against Biancia Abbott. First team foul on the Rip. About 1:10 into the quarter. Let's see if Swain could pick it back up. She had a quiet third. Looking for a screen.
Shot clock down to 7 seconds. Oh, look at that. 3 defenders, and she still gets her way to the rim, but unfortunately didn't drop for Cairns.
Lee fires a 3. That's good as well. Keisha Lee is really heating up here.
Yeah, 7 of 12 from the field, 25 points, and 3 of 5 from beyond the arc. So it's clearly to see who's the difference. Swain was the difference in the first half for Cairns, and Keisha Lee becoming the difference in the second half in the Rip's favour.
Tompkins somehow recovers it, kicks it out. Now Bauer has it out to Hurd. There's going to be a blocking foul. That one's called against Lionheart Lisa Ups.
Number 6 or 8. Take your pick.
Can anyone
let us know on Facebook.
Can you see, and can someone tell us, is that 6 or 8? If you're watching on the Facebook feed or the YouTube channel, let us know. Is it 6? Is it 8? What do you reckon?
Might have to get Chris to do a close-up or something. You know, forget about the rest of the play. Let's get the question we all want answered.
Can you give us the zoom, maybe, Chris, when there's a break and play, please? Ball is dribbled off the foot of Chevy Palvast. It's going to stay with Cairns. They're down 16, 76-60. If you're Coach Williams, you gotta do something to get the momentum on your side here. 16
points is a big split at this stage of the game. And, you know, they're sticking to their outside shots, but, you know, the Rip are now just full of momentum, confidence, taking it to the rack. Their transitions just looking so much better. So, you know, you can see it in the coaching staff too. They're a lot more relaxed because I think they've just fended off Cairns, who stayed with them up until the first half. But that third quarter, it's called the championship quarter by coaches, and, you know, it's clearly to see why, the way they came out in that third quarter, the Rip.
Well, Palvast was fouled on her way to the basket, so she's going to shoot a couple. And don't forget, folks, if you are tuning in, we will have the men's game for you shortly after the conclusion of this women's game, scheduled for 7:30 tip. And I don't know if they counted that first free throw attempt. Sarah Hurd checking out. Hutchinson checks back in. So, no, they didn't count the first shot. I just saw referee Darryl Millard Mentioned there's 2 shots. Palvas missed it anyway. Palvas gets the second one to fall. Here comes Rip with a bit of pressure. Swain picks up the dribble.
I mean, she's probably the only player who could dribble through pressure like that. You want to see the ball passed, but she immediately puts it on the floor and gets through the pressure, and Cairns come down and score. So again, they're hanging in there, but they're going to have to get some defensive stops, and they want to be looking at trying to get 3 stops very, very quickly, which can change momentum to favour Cairns.
Abbott gets it out to Palvas, tied up by Swain. There's a foul called.
And that's a tough call. 5 seconds left on the shot clock. And that's her 4th.
That's against Swain. It's going to be our 4th personal. It's the 3rd team foul on Cairns. And Coach Kerry Williams wants to talk to his troops. He's taking a timeout, so we'll take one as well. 7:04 left in this one. And it's Rip up 15 in your QBL Game of the Week, presented to you by Nothing But Net Media. Back with you here at USC Sports Stadium, and the question of the night has been answered. Ryan Lowe's on the YouTube channel letting us know Lionheart Lisa Ups is wearing number 8.
So
Thank you, Ryan, for clearing that up for us.
We're not going crazy.
No, all right, I'm glad. I still could be going crazy, but that just lowers the potential of it a little bit. Cairns gets a stop, so
that's the first. If they honestly, if they can get 3 stops, and that's how I'd say Kerry Williams would have broken it down, saying, we can still be in this. There's plenty of basketball, 6 minutes to go, but it's going to have to come from the defensive end. So there's 1 stop and a 2-point basket, so it's just a matter of whether they can sustain it.
Palvas Lee finishes.
And that just nullifies it straight away with that sort of transition basketball from the Rip.
Well, Kansas is trying to ramp up the intensity here a bit. As a tough finish there from Tompkins. They're picking up full court, and they're looking to double team and trap.
Yeah, well, they've got to throw everything at Rip now in the hope that they can, force the turnover, have a missed shot.
And it's just they're doing a good job in that front line, but once it breaks the front line, and that's the deficit if you're going with the pressure. If you beat that first line of defense, you got an advantage on the other end.
Oh, most definitely. That's why you get the ball through hands. Don't put it on the floor when there's a press, and you can usually find that open man fairly quickly. But good ball movement against this 2-3 zone, and Palvas comes to the party now and decides to knock down a 3.
If I could cut out that possession and show it to anyone playing basketball, that's a perfect possession against the zone defense.
Oh, most definitely. Great ball movement. Well, now they're starting to just really put on the party here. But, great ball movement against a zone. Find the open man, knock down the shot. What more can you ask for? And this, I think, could blow out, to 20 or 30 points. 20 points now could easily be 30 or 40 if Cairns, they're looking tired now. They've thrown as much as they can at Rip. And I think Rip will just continue to run through their offense now and make sure that they score as many times as they can coming down the floor.
And every point counts, really, when you're talking about finals contention. It's a pretty tight ladder at the moment. Both these teams a bit further out from the 8 than where they'd like to be, but all depends on results, obviously. So the better the differential you have, the better your chances of making the finals are.
Yeah, and just looking at Rip City now, they've moved up to 42% from the field, and their 3-point percentage is up to around 30%. So they've started to improve that side of the thing, but it really has come down to their defense as well. That's the shooting's been great from Keisha Lee, but defensively, Swain's been taken out of the game. Obviously, the foul scenario hasn't helped, but they've really done the adjustments that were needed to get her out of the game and just make Cairns have to play through someone else rather than her.
It's been Toupee doing a good job shutting down Swain here in the second half. And I think a lot of it is experience. I think it's a good lesson for Swain.
That's a super pass.
And a tough finish there from Ups as well.
Yeah, super pass from Toupee, and Ups finishing with 2. So you can see that Rip love playing up-tempo basketball, and when they get into the grind, they probably start to make those simple turnovers. But now, starting to play the sort of basketball that I think Jay McCracken likes to see.
4:13 left in this one. 22 points the lead, pushed out by the Rip. Good crossover, nice dish, and Evans finishes. Thompson's had a few good moments in this one, but probably they needed her to be make a little more noise, Cairns, if they wanted to pull this one out.
Yeah, well, it's a scoring spread as well. I mean, the Rip obviously haven't relied on just 1 or 2 players. I mean, Lee stepped up in that third quarter, but Cairns just haven't got that scoring spread. When Swain started to dry up or get taken out of the game, Tompkins did everything that she could, but they needed to find someone else, another threat. And Swain, right on cue, comes up with another 2. Yeah, but that's Cairns', not being critical, it's just being quite obvious that as a young team, they're still trying to find their feet and find those offensive weapons, which they do have, but, they're still very, very young.
And weapons aplenty here for Rip. They're up 90 to 70. Thompson misses the jump shot. Lee loses it out of bounds. Couple subs here. Looks like Coach Williams is going to go to the bench. Some of Evans going to get a breather.
Yeah, so Rip City's had 4 players in double figures. Keisha Lee with 30, 21 for Tupaya. Pelvast has 13 and Ups 10. But it's also they've managed to get 8 points from their bench as well.
Swain is fouled on the drive along the baseline. It's the 4th team foul on Rip. Checking in for Cairns, you've got Janae Downing, Stephanie Fomkong. Swain has it. Thought she was going to fire, but instead goes to the rim, lays it in, plus the foul.
The last 3 minutes now, it's just, I'm on 4 fouls. I'll see how many points I can get.
Yeah, and, it's close now, and that was the 15th foul on Rip. So 3 minutes to go, 18-point game. It's not totally over here.
No, definitely not. And you have to still stay positive and go, you know what, we get it to under 10 with, a minute and a half to play. Anything's possible. But they just have to get stops, and it's very, very difficult because, something like that happens where they just get around their first player and there's no defensive help. And, she goes from one end of the floor to the other. So, and that's just the immaturity of Cairns defensively.
Under 3 now. Good reversal there. Lee has it. Looking back door, passes up. Shots good. Plus the foul. What a finish there from Yasmin Miller. A great look from Keisha Lee.
Well, there's only 2 players left to score for the Rip. So we'll see if they can get on the scoreboard before the end of the game. Yvonne Miller was one of them, but she's managed to rectify that. So there's really only Robinson and Blake.
Miller hits the free throw. Chelsea Oxlade's checked into the game for Cairns as well. India Bauer going to the basket, laying it in, plus the foul.
And when we're talking about scoring options, this is one player that can be. She's been very quiet tonight. She probably just goes into a shell a little bit. And, you just saw the skills there that she's capable of doing. But the game's sort of gone now. But she, sometimes she can produce something quite magical. And I suppose that's where Kerry Williams, I suppose, is trying to get that out of the younger players to make them realise that you're at this level. If you think you can knock down the shot or put on a play, do it.
Yeah. Coach Jay McCracken took a timeout. He wants to talk to his troops with the team up 21. Interesting timeout at 2 minutes, 20 seconds. Got to think he's talking, let's finish strong. Let's work on, maybe our late game stuff or defensive principles. Maybe try something different that they haven't maybe implemented in the game tonight.
Yeah, it could be a combination of any of those because, it is an unusual timeout. But he may want to run a play, may want to see, we've tried this at training. Let's see if it does actually work with some defensive pressure. But it could also be just a timeout to say, don't let them get a sniff. 2 minutes 20, you want to make sure you close out this game playing well rather than just go into your shell and go, well, we've won this, let's put the cue in the rack.
Well, he has gone to the bench a bit. So Tupea and Palvas check out. Checking in is Ashley Blake. Also checking in is Bianca McDonald. And the aforementioned Yasmin Miller. Bauer's at the free throw line. Banks it home.
Banks it. Did she call that?
I'm sure I heard that. I'm sure I did.
Yeah.
Miller puts it up. Another one. She gets another one to fall plus the foul.
Nice
Very
move.
similar to the last one.
Yeah, great move from the youngster. And since she's been on, she started to pile on the points.
Miller missed the free throw. Here's Swain with it. Goes to the right. Jump stop. Flips one up. It's off. Good rebound. Ball movement here. Oxlade drains the three.
Yeah, nice ball movement from Cairns on that situation. The extra pass to find the open player and knocks it down. So good offense from Cairns.
Bauer, another defensive rebound. Got to give a shout out to Nothing But Net Media and Stream Team Australia own Regan Baker checking in on the Facebook page. Regan couldn't join us tonight. He's off to a wedding celebration. Don't have too many, Regan. You'll have the Southwest Pirates game tomorrow, so not too many drinks tonight, all right, Regan?
Well, that's dedication, checking in at a wedding.
Why wouldn't you? Wouldn't you, Ken? Come on.
In between the speeches.
Yeah.
What's the score? What's going on? Hi, Regan. Thanks for the opportunity.
Got about under a minute to go now. There's a foul along the baseline. It's a blocking foul. It's going to be 2 shots for India Bauer. And checking in for the rip, Matisse Robinson. Keisha Lee looks like she'll be done for the night as well after a really nice. She was quiet, Keisha Lee, in that first half, but she really came alive in the third, Ken.
Oh, most definitely. She was the difference, and the Rip were looking for someone to step up, and she started to knock down shot after shot after shot, and they quickly blew it out to 8 points, and then got out to 12 points, and she just couldn't miss at one patch there. I think she really hit a purple patch, and it made all the difference. Cairns just couldn't go with them. in that third quarter, and that has certainly set it up for them. It's going to end up being a very, very good win for the Rip. And my continue of woeful tipping continues, which is great. You know, I'm known to put the death on players, on teams, so I'm glad I did that for the home team this year.
That's good to know. Next time we're at the track, if you recommend a horse, I'll go the complete opposite.
Oh, most definitely. And put the house on it, because it'll be safe as houses.
The good old commentator's curse, isn't it, Ken?
Oh, it is. It is. How many times does it happen to you? You hear commentators go, oh, they should make this shot, and then they miss it.
3-pointers out by Hutchinson. It's off. Good rebound by Bauer. Nearly lost it. Recovers along the baseline. Cairns looking to finish this one strong. That's not going to help him as Ups comes up with the steal. Jump ball is called, and it's going to be Cairns' ball.
She's been very good tonight too.
Yeah, both Catherine and Lisa Ups have been excellent tonight. And this is the Rip is a good team. I talked to Coach McCracken before the game, and obviously disappointed in where they're at this season, but he wants to finish strong. And who knows if results fall the way that they may. They could sneak in. It's going to be a really difficult one, but picking up a win here tonight certainly helps. Doesn't hurt.
Well, it's particularly on your home court. As you said, you want to finish the season as strongly as you can. You want to give opportunities to some of the youngsters who've been at training every week, doing the hard work. And, you don't want to throw in the towel. And Rip tonight have been very, very strong, particularly in the second half, and that halftime probably came at the right time for them, where they just, I think, settled themselves and refocused on really what they had to do. And, the players that needed to step up certainly stepped up. Pelvas was relatively quiet in that first half, but, she started to pile on a few points. But, for me, Lee was the difference between the two sides. And also, the defensive pressure on Swain. You certainly got to credit that as Tupaia, and she's done a great job keeping her very, very quiet as well. So to walk out with a 97-79 win.
Yeah, a big win here for the University of Sunshine Coast Rip. It was an 18-point difference in the final term. Really solid performance from both teams. I thought Cairns was in there at the halftime, but Rip really showed their class in that second half to pull away with the double-digit win.
Yeah, most definitely. And, they rectified their shooting percentage. It certainly isn't where it would want to be for a game, but, they were shooting at a woeful 30% at halftime, and managed to end up getting to 44%, which is so much better than where it was. But all round, it was just the scoring spread, the defensive intensity from the Rip. And, Cairns, as we said in the call, when Swain went quiet, Tompkins had to pick up the slack, but no one else went with them. And, that's, again, just the immaturity, I suppose, of Cairns, and something that, Kerry Williams is certainly aware of. But a good effort by the Rip, here on their home court in front of their home crowd, to walk away with a very, very solid win.
Let's just take a quick look through the stats. What really jumps out at you at the end? Let's look at the Rip City first before we wrap things up.
Yeah, so Keisha Lee, as we said, relatively quiet in that first half, but ended up with 32 points, shooting at 54%. So, great effort from her. Tupaia got into the scoring as well with 23, and Pelvas managed 13. So they had 4 players in double figures and fairly big double figures. Rebounding-wise, just having a quick look here, rebounding 54 to Cairns' 43. So, again, they started, as we mentioned, at halftime. The Rip should have been dominating the boards. They weren't at halftime. It was 23 apiece. But in that second half, their big players started to dominate. And Cairns, were very poor on the box out. They were giving Rip too many second, third options, which is a coach killer. You sort of don't want teams to have those second or third options. But for Cairns, as we said, Shanice Swain, 23 points up until halftime, finishes the game with 27. We were talking here at halftime, what's it going to be? But, to Rip's credit and coaching staff, they made the necessary adjustments. She got into foul trouble, which obviously would have helped Rip's cause, but she went really, really quiet in that second half, and Cairns needed someone to fill that slack, and they just couldn't find it. Tompkins did a great job, great inside presence, and ended up with 21 points, and I think something like how many rebounds? Yeah, 9 rebounds, so almost a double-double again from her, where I think she's getting just about one every game, isn't she?
Pretty close to it, yeah. So pretty well-balanced attack. Let's just so everyone is aware, next week we will be presenting to you. We'll be back here actually on the Sunshine Coast as it's a battle for the coast as University of Sunshine Coast RIP take on the Sunshine Coast Phoenix. The women will tip at 5:30 p.m. That's going to do it for us here. It was that final score, 97-79. I got to thank Chris Sieber on the camera work. Thank you, Coach Ken Furdak, for joining me in the commentary. Also want to thank James Bowman and the Australian Sports Network for all of the graphics you see throughout the broadcast and also for all their technical support. We will have the men's matchup coming up for you shortly, so don't go anywhere. The game will be on the Basketball Queensland YouTube channel and also on the Basketball Queensland Facebook page. Thanks again, everyone, for tuning in to another presentation of the Basketball Queensland QBL Game of the Week, brought to you by Nothing But Net Media.